Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Glad to have you with us here. You're on a ride along. You're on a literal ride along with the mighty Gator Unleashed. Running out here to pick my daughter up at school right fast on my 3 o'clock break. Touch on this little Bubba Wallace deal of NASCAR racing today. I've been a major NASCAR fan since the 80s. Went to several races. Before I was big enough to go to races, I watched my uncles fight over Cale Yarborough and Richard Petty, and just all of them. I mean, just you're talking about a 40-year NASCAR fan. Never missed a race for over a decade, I would imagine. I didn't miss a single lap of a single race for over a decade. But like everything else in our country, it's declined to the point of sheer lunacy, mostly because of the policies and the this woke nation that we've got today. Everybody's so fragile and offended by everything. But Bubba Wallace is a guy that the NASCAR community totally accepted. I liked him. He drove the 43 Richard Petty car for a while, which I was just a big fan of because of tradition. And there was no signs of racial or disrespect or anything towards Bubba Wallace at all. Zero. The NASCAR community totally, I mean, we just didn't even see this. It's just not even, I mean, I've never seen anything to do with any kind of racial problems at any of the NASCAR races I've gone to. Rode motorcycles to Bristol with a bunch of guys, with a bunch of black guys. Obviously, I'm not a black guy. We rode. I mean, it's just a total lunacy. When the noose deal took place a couple of years ago involving Bubba Wallace, and it was total lunacy that people like Matt Jones from Kentucky Sports Radio just immediately went on the offensive, implying that NASCAR is a bunch of savage redneck races. I haven't listened to anything Matt Jones. Just about quit all UK sports. I mean, it's just so ridiculous, everything in our society is. That's being pushed upon us from these overeducated libtards. Bubba Wallace got in a horrific crash at Pocono. I remember this like it was yesterday. This was long before LeBron James and Barack Obama. All these people put into the minds of everybody that we hate them because they're black. Bubba Wallace had a major crash in Turn 1 at Pocono. This Pocono Turn 1, you're coming off of a 200+ mile per hour straightaway, in case you don't know that. If you've watched any NASCAR racing and got a brain in your head, you already know that. He lost his brakes going into that corner. It was the scariest crash that I've probably ever seen. I mean, you'll see cars flip and things, and they look really horrible, but oftentimes that energy is being spread out through each bounce and flip is slowing the car down, and it's not as bad. Those sudden stops is what's brutal in NASCAR. And if you've raced anything at all, you don't have to be a NASCAR driver, you don't have to have years of college. All you have to do is just look at things and have just a little bit of common sense, and you know that. Don't need nobody to tell you that. You just know it because you're halfway logical. Bubba Wallace had a bad crash, and I was feared for the worst. I mean, I was sitting there watching it live, and I thought, man, we've lost this kid right here. You know, we lost Kenny Irwin. We lost the Nemechek kid. We lost somebody else I'm leaving out there. We lost Adam Petty. You know, we've lost a lot of NASCAR drivers at much slower tracks than that. Of course, I think the Nemechek guy got killed at Miami, and I think Irwin and Petty both got killed at Loudon. A lot slower track, but still, you're talking about well over 100 mile an hour. But anyway, when Bubba Wallace had his accident, the way, and I say Matt Jones, it's that type of person. I don't mean to single him out. It's just he fits into this bunch. Matt Jones was a Biden supporter, and that's the #1 sign of being a total lunatic right there. But these people imply that we hate Bubba Wallace because he's black, and that burns me up. It absolutely infuriates me. There's never been a hint of that anywhere, any way, shape, form, or fashion. So the deal with this Bubba Wallace, and also I want to touch on, I was tickled to death when I saw Bubba Wallace climb out of that car and sit down beside it. And he was clearly shaking up a little bit. Hey, Allie, doing a little YouTube video real quick. It's the only time I get a chance to do one. It was such a relief came over me when I saw him climb out of that car on his own power And he sat down. I remember it well. He sat down by the car because, I mean, he had a hell of a crash. But it wasn't long. You know, he's a tough kid. It wasn't long. He was up on his feet. And it was just, not only myself, but the entire NASCAR community just showed a tremendous outpouring of support for Bubba Wallace when that happened. And that pleased me. That tickled me to death, you know, because I was proud of our NASCAR community. Because we're good people. We're not the people that these educated libtards make us out to be. This woke society that thinks everybody's out to get them. But now, just a few years, very few short years later, just actually months, you could say almost, we have this noose deal pop up that Bubba Wallace instigated. It took the FBI less than a day to dismiss it as absolutely nothing. But in the meantime, Matt Jones, LeBron James, all these woke individuals who are, again, Biden supporting lunatics, they had jumped on the bandwagon and just give us down the road, you know, the entire NASCAR community. NASCAR themselves overreacted. They jumped in and they had, in Indianapolis, they had all the drivers, all the other drivers, all white guys, maybe a couple of, I don't know if Daniel Suarez was in on that or not yet then, or Juan Pablo Montoya, but all other drivers had to push Bubba Wallace down pit road because they're white and he's black, and that was just the dumbest thing NASCAR's ever done. I quit them for the rest of that season and maybe the season after. And I've watched some NASCAR this year because I love racing. But anyway, this deal here with Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson, you know, anybody that can see anything at all, Kyle Larson made a very aggressive move. You know, he had a run on those guys. And, you know, if you're racing, if you get that's what it's all about, getting a run on somebody. You know, you're going to go somewhere to get by those guys when you get that big of a run on them, especially with this current car they're racing, because you can't pass anybody no ways. And buddy, Bubba Wallace just took extreme offense to that. I mean, he's almost so arrogant that he thinks they're not even supposed to try to pass him. That's what the people of the movement of LeBron James and his cronies have done, and Matt Jones and these guys. That's what they've done. They've caused so much division. Now, Kyle Larson, without a doubt, he was being aggressive, but I still don't think he did anything wrong. I can see Bubba being slightly frustrated by him diving in there so deep, but he never touched him. You know, he put Bubba Wallace in the same position that Denny Hamlin put Ross Chastain in at, I think it was Pocono this year. You know, Bubba Wallace was in a situation where he could back out of it and they both go on to the next corner and live to race, or he could do what he did, bounce it off the wall, destroy his car. Then he took it, which is what he chose to do, because as he said, he don't lift. That's not a good race car driver, one that proclaims he's not going to lift, because there are situations you have to lift. That's just the way it is. But anyhow, he chose not to lift and destroyed his car. Then he decided, because I guess he felt like nobody should pass him for whatever reason, then he decided to make a hard left turn and go down at probably in excess of 160 miles an hour and take Larson out in a situation where we've had people having concussions left and right this year. Just the worst move I've seen from a NASCAR driver. Then the repercussions of that, he also took out his teammate in the Toyota, the 20 car. So this was all wrong by Bubba Wallace and nobody else. And I'm stunned that NASCAR gave him a one-race suspension. I really am. I didn't think they would have the balls to do it because he's black. But they did. But now I won't be surprised if we don't see some outrage from the LeBron James clan. You know, you're not supposed to penalize a black guy. They're probably going to try to say that Bubba Wallace was the victim. And maybe not. It would be hard for him to, because this was just such a blatant, ignorant move by Bubba Wallace. I don't really see how anybody can defend him, but we're talking about a group of people that literally don't know what public restroom to use. So, again, it wouldn't surprise me if they do. But anyhow, got to sign off here. Got a lot of work to do this evening. It's a pretty day here on Eastern Kentucky. Here on October the 19th, 2022. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Love to hear your comments and thoughts in the comment section. Like, subscribe, share, whatever you want to do. Appreciate all you new subscribers. Glad to have you. You guys have a good day, a good rest of the week. Take care.